Hi, everybody. Captain Lou here with another extravagant few minutes live on 12-Ounce Sports. Of course, you can catch us on our YouTube channel, which we invite you to subscribe to get all of our latest content of all of our shows on 12-Ounce Sports, and also catch us on our Roku channel 24/7. That is 12-Ounce Sports. We're everywhere on social media. Day 4 of the 2025 ACHA National Tournament is upon us. It is quarterfinal Sunday for the Division I teams, and in men's D2, it is day 3 of pool play. Now, it's going to be extended to Monday. We'll talk about that in a moment with D2. We've got a couple of games that were suspended Friday night due to the inclement weather that went through on Friday night late with the tornado warnings and everything that went through here in Missouri. Our thoughts and prayers going out to the families that were faced with destruction and everything with what happened on Friday night. But yesterday was kind of chaotic for the ACHA, and my hat's off and kudos to the staff from Dave Kurtz to Rush Schlegel to everybody, Craig Barnett, the whole crew that stayed up late Friday night into Saturday morning to get everything set up, to get all the games in, to get the D1 tournament on track, to keep it on schedule, and doing the best they could with D2. The D2 championship game is going to be moved to Wednesday. The semis will be played on Tuesday due to the fact of the suspended games on Friday that could not be completed. We'll give you that schedule after the break, but we're going to focus right now on D1. As I mentioned, it is quarterfinal Sunday today. We've got 4 great games lined up as the second round was completed yesterday as scheduled with 4 games, 3 of them over at the St. Louis Ice Zone, and then the finale last night over at Maryville. So let's get into some of those games from yesterday to complete round 2. It started out with Jamestown against Grand Canyon, the 5-seed Jamestown against 12-seeded Grand Canyon, and it was a good one. Jamestown jumped out to a 1-0 lead early in the contest at 2:58 with Jordan Baranski, but it was Owen Hansen that tied it up on the power play at 10:59, but then Jacob Tom, about a minute and a half later, made it 2-1 in favor of Jamestown. That's how it stood until the third period, 17-26. Owen Hansen again tied it up at 2. He went into overtime, but it was Brad Fortan at 2:18 with the overtime winner for Jamestown. So the 5-seeded Jimmies, they get to take on Liberty early. First game here this morning, 10:15 local time. The 4 versus the 5 Liberty with that big win as well over Oswego State. So those 2 teams are going to do battle. Then in game 2 yesterday, it was a rematch. Michigan Flavor, the GL6, a rematch of the championship game of the GL6, and a rematch third straight year that Calvin and Adrian did battle in D1 for the right to go to the third round. Adrian winning the previous couple of years, obviously, as they are the defending national champions in D1. And it was all Adrian. 6-2, the final score in that one. The Bulldogs, just a little too strong for Calvin. Matthew DeCesare with a couple of goals. He was a question mark whether he was going to be able to play yesterday, but he started it out at 3:18 with a goal. Stephen Ickes tied it up at 4:53, but then a couple of goals towards the end of the first period for Adrian, Mateo Turin, and Matthew DeCesare again at 17:29 on the power play. 3-1 after 1. The Knights were able to cut it to 1 to make it 3-2, but then it was Dylan Gajewski at 8:48 with the power play. And again, it was Cash Reagan at 17:23, 5-2 after 40 minutes of play. Just a little too much for the Knights to be able to catch up as David Dell got an empty netter at 18:15. That sealed the deal for the Bulldogs. 6-2. They defeat Calvin. So it's the number 6 seed Adrian Bulldogs, the defending national champions. They're going to take on the Ohio Bobcats, the 3 seed, this afternoon, 1:30 local time. The Cats and the Dogs, they're going to do battle with each other this afternoon. In the third game, actually it was game 2.5, if you will. It was the completion of the suspended game from Friday night between number 1 seed Minot and 17 Purdue Northwest, as they were through one period of play. It was 1-0 in favor of Minot State going into the second period when the game was suspended due to the inclement weather. Well, they finished it yesterday afternoon at 4:45 over at the Ice Zone. 1-0 Minot going into the second period. Colby Joseph right away, a minute 15 into the second period, made it 2-0 in favor of Minot. And then it was 3-0 after Brett Tatarin at 10:41. Minot or Purdue Northwest made it interesting towards the end of the period as Meslowski with the goal at 13:46. And after 2 periods of play, it was 3-1. But then it was Josh Peterson at 9:36 of the third period. Sealed the deal for the Beavers. Minot State with the 4-1 victory. They move on to the late game here tonight. Who are they going to take on? Well, we'll find out in a moment. But we had a classic as well at the Ice Zone at 7:30. It went into double overtime as Niagara jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Peter Spumani and Cameron Shepard gave Niagara a 2-0 lead in the second period. But then it was Sam Edwards. He cut it to 1. Then he tied it up with about 2.5 minutes to go in the third period. Sent it to overtime. They had to go to double overtime to do it. And it was Jack Henderson, 17-15 into double overtime, getting the game winner for the Maryville Saints. And it was a 3-2 double overtime victory for Maryville. They move on. They're going to take on the Skating Rebels of Nevada, Las Vegas at 4:45 local time today with that big victory. So it's Maryville and UNLV. So there's one spot left. Who's going to take on Minot State tonight? Well, it came down to that game over in Maryville. Drury, the 9 seed, Utah, the 8 seed. Drury jumped out early with Jackson Truhan with the power play goal. That made it 1-0. Trevor Krustek in the second period tied it up at 1. But it was Drury getting a couple of goals from Devin Jameson and KT Walters, his second goal of the tournament. That made it 3-1. Brady Schwab on a 6-on-5 at 18:55 cut it to 3-2. But Anmal Garnshaw got the game winner, or got the empty net goal late in that contest to make it 4-2 in favor of Drury. So the 9 seed Drury Panthers will take on the Minot State Beavers coming up in the late game in Division 1. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back, we'll get you all caught up with Division 2 on the men's side right here on an extravagant few minutes on 12-ounce sports. Buddy, Captain Lou here from the Extravaganza, which airs live every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, right here on 12-ounce sports. Hey, are you a fan of hockey? How about the Stanley Cup? More importantly, how about the Detroit Red Wings? Well, if you are, I've got just the giveaway for you. Keith Gabe, former longtime reporter for the Detroit Free Press and the Dallas Morning News. He covered that Red Wing run in the late 90s and early 2000s, and his latest book is out, The Grind Line, talking about the heart and soul of that Red Wings team. I've got a copy for you. All you got to do is email me your favorite Grind Line story, Red Wing story, Stanley Cup, I don't care. If you want to get in on the drawing, go to sweetlou1965@yahoo.com. Follow me on X or Facebook. It's right there on the bottom of the screen. It's a great book. It's a great read. Had a chance to talk with Keith Gabe about it on the Extravaganza. You can see that interview archived on 12-ounce sports on our YouTube page. So that's right, the Grind Line. It could be yours. Just enter. Check it out on the bottom of the screen for your way to enter. Right here on 12-ounce sports. It's a great book. It's a great read. I know you'll enjoy it. Welcome back, everybody, to an extravagant few minutes here on 12-ounce sports. And indeed, thank you very much to Keith Gay for coming on my other podcast on the Captain Lou Extravaganza to talk about that Grind Line team, the Grind Line and the Red Wings back in the 90s. It was a great run for the Detroit Red Wings as they got 4 Stanley Cups in 12 years. A lot of people are yearning for those days as well. Welcome back to an extravagant few minutes, day 4 of the 2025 ACHA National Tournament. As we roll on, we went through Division 1 National Tournament. Let's get you caught up on the Division 2 of the men's pool play. Now, as we mentioned, the semifinals and the finals will be bumped up to Tuesday and Wednesday due to the suspended games that will have to be finished on Monday, including a good one with Indiana and Lindenwood. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yesterday's games were pretty good out in McHenry. The games got moved out there due to the power outages here at Centene. Opening game on Saturday, that would be yesterday. Connecticut College, they won the other night against Metro State Denver. They went up against Maryville. 1-0 was Connecticut College. Maryville was 0-1. Connecticut College was ahead 5-3 rather, with about 2.5 minutes left to go in regulation time. Maryville gets a couple of goals late to tie it up. They send it to overtime. and they win in overtime 6-5. So Maryville is now 1-1 in pool play. Shocking win over Connecticut College. Liberty 0-1 going up against Texas. They needed a win to stay alive. They win with a 3-0 shutout over Texas. Indiana took on Utah. The Hoosiers, the defending champions in Division II, a 4 seed in their pool. They beat Utah by the score of 8-1 last night. So they're 1-0 as they go into their day 2, but day 3 of pool play later on today. RPI against Wisconsin. Wisconsin came in 1-0 in pool play. RPI, they have yet to finish their round robin. Their game they just barely got started. I don't even know if it got started on Friday night against Montana State. So RPI and Wisconsin with a big win, 4-3 over RPI. So Wisconsin now 2-0 in pool play, looking very strong as they look to try to get to the Final Four. Lindenwood and Northeastern, 2 powers over the years in Division II. Lindenwood with a big 3-0 win over Northeastern to set themselves up pretty good coming into day 3 today, and then in their suspended game coming up on Monday against Indiana. Ohio, they lost on the opening day. They needed a big win yesterday. They got it over Montana State. They won 2-1, so they're still alive for a spot in the Final Four. Then it was St. Thomas with a game up against Army, and the Tommies with a 4-2 win over Army, Army. So they're now 1-1, or 2-0 rather. I take that back. St. Thomas with a big win over Liberty in overtime on Friday night. So St. Thomas looking pretty good as they go into day 3. And finally, in the nightcap last night, one of the Division II powers. We always talk about that. Florida Gulf Coast, a big win for them over Metro State of Denver, 3-2. So Florida Gulf Coast at 2-0. So let's take a quick look at the pool play standings in Division II. We'll see if we can't bring those up for you here on the screen. It's one of those, I'm not so technically advanced here, but let's get it here. Pool play. With in Pool A, Lindenwood, as we talked about, excuse me, with Indiana, both 1-0. They're going to finish their suspended game on Monday, but they're both undefeated. Northeastern is at 1-1. The only team that is eliminated in Pool A is going to be Utah, as they're at 0-2. In Pool B right now, Wisconsin sitting pretty good at 2-0. A win for them today, and they should lock up Pool B. Ohio is at 1-1. Montana State 0-1. RPI at 0-1, as we mentioned. Those 2 teams will play their suspended game on Monday. In Pool C, St. Thomas, they're 2-0. A win for them. They'll lock up a semifinal bid with the 3-0 record. Army and Liberty, they're both at 1-1. They're going to do battle today, so that's going to be a very interesting matchup. St. Thomas will take on Texas. Texas is 0-2. They are eliminated in Pool C. And finally, in Pool D, Florida Gulf Coast, they're 2-0. Connecticut College and Maryville, 1-1. At Metro State, Denver, they're 0-2. They're the only team that's eliminated in Pool D. So let's take a look at the games today. Some big ones, as we mentioned. They'll start off with RPI in Ohio at 11 o'clock local time. Indiana and Northeastern. That's going to be a big matchup there at 11:15 for the defending national champions. St. Thomas, we talked about it. They can lock up a semifinal berth with the win at 2 o'clock local time against Texas. Maryville and Metro State, Denver, they do battle at 2:15. Utah and Lindenwood at 5 o'clock. Lindenwood playing to try to keep pace with Indiana. Utah looking to play spoiler. Connecticut College and Florida Gulf Coast. That's at 5:15. That's a big matchup. Connecticut College, a win there, they could be having an opportunity to go to the semifinals. But the Florida Gulf Coast stands in their way. That's going to be a big matchup there. And then tonight at 8 o'clock, Wisconsin. They can clinch a spot in semifinals with a win over Montana State. And we mentioned in the nightcap, a big one, Liberty and Army at 8:15. A win there for Liberty. Then they could kind of make things a little bit uncomfortable for St. Thomas. They're going to need a win. They're going to need a St. Thomas loss against Texas. All right, day 3 is in the books. Day 4 is upon us right now here at the Centene Ice Center, the 2025 ACHA National Tournament. All right, that's going to do it. Going to be some great hockey. If you're in the area, stop on by and say hi. If you can't make it, all the games will be on Flow Hockey, and we'll be bringing you all the play-by-play there. All right, thanks, everybody, for welcoming us into your homes, on your computers, on your smart TVs, however you watch us around the world, right here on 12-Ounce Sports. Day 4 is here. We hope you enjoy it. Again, we'll see you tomorrow with another update. We will have the semifinal set in D1. We may have some of the semifinals set in D2. This reminder again that the D2 semifinals pushed back a day. They will be Tuesday. The championship game will be Wednesday due to the completion of the suspended games. And tomorrow, women's D1 will start their pool play as well. So a lot to talk about tomorrow here on An Extravagant Few Minutes. That's going to do it. Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long, everybody. You're on 12-Ounce Sports.